ensure private laboratories do not lose money. Now, despite the record increase in cases, Metro Manila mayors stand firm. The region should stay under alert level 3 for now. George Kita is joining us now for more details. George, why do mayors want to keep the current restrictions and not escalate that to alert level 4?
Via MMDA Chairman Benher Abalos spoke in behalf of Metro Manila mayors earlier. He gave a number of reasons to maintain the mid-level alert. Most local governments are carrying out laws restricting the movement of unvaccinated and partially vaccinated people. The region has a high vaccination rate with more than 10.5 million people fully vaccinated and almost 1 million with booster shots. Bed utilization rates in ICUs, wards, and isolation facilities are still within range, and citing Okta research, the Omicron surge is slowing down. Abalos says they are continuously monitoring the situation and will immediately call the health department's attention should the numbers continue to rise. Back to you, Pia.
George, over the weekend, there was that unverified information that was going around, as is always the case, no, that Metro Manila would be put under alert level 4, causing quite a bit of panic among people. What do officials say about this?
Well, Abalos says the public should remain calm and listen to reliable sources of information. He warns those spreading misinformation that authorities will run after them. In the meantime, he says, while there are breakthrough cases, most have no symptoms or just mild, which means vaccines are working. Abalos says people should get vaccinated, and those with complete shots should get a booster 3 months after the second dose. Back to you.
Yeah, George, I have another question, but before that, I wanted to follow up lang. No? So you have those local ordinances that would not allow unvaccinated people to leave their homes, but if you want to get them to, to the vaccination centers, meron bang clarification ng local governments dito? Paano yon? So makakalabas ang unvaccinated para magpabakuna o hindi?
Well, they can. If they want to get vaccinated, they can go to vaccination centers because this is still part of getting medical services from the government. So that's an exemption. They want to go out, but of course, people can. There are several other exemptions if they want to get basic needs or basic necessities, and if they're going to get medical services or other essential services.
Okay, that clarification very important kasi baka may nakikinig o nanonood na hindi pa rin bakunado at nagtatanong nga sila. But George, okay, balik na tayo dun sa isa pang follow-up question. Because COVID-19 Task Force Advisor Dr. Teddy Erbosa is saying that declaring alert level 4 is possible if the healthcare system hits full capacity. And Dr. Erbosa pointing out data on utilization rate does not reflect the actual situation on the ground. So,
right.
We can just add to that.
Yeah, that's right. But the main basis that the MMDA or the Metro Manila Council is citing are the numbers that they got from the health department. For the ICU beds, as of January 9, I'm just looking at my numbers right now, that the utilization rate is at 52%. The isolation beds is at 50%, ward beds is at 65%, and the use of ventilators is at 26%. If we will going to base this on the DOH's parameters, it has to be at 70% before it can be elevated to alert level 4. So, while there are some dynamics to that, as what Dr. Erbosa was saying, but we'll see in the coming days if the Metro Manila mayors will convene again and make another decision as to the alert level status here in Metro Manila.
Yeah, George, I'm sorry, just one last follow-up question. I don't know if the data is on hand with you, pero remember nung Delta surge, so August, September, October, at that time, do you remember ano ba yung healthcare utilization rate natin? Sobrang taas, di ba? It was not at this level, right? Am I right?
Yes, you're correct, Pia. Yun din yung part ng explanation ni MMDA Chairman Abalos earlier. Most of the people right now who are getting sick or getting the virus are just having mild symptoms. and the health department has already given its parameters also on as to who can avail of the home quarantine option. No? So most of the people right now are just having their quarantine at home, and there are several points wherein they can follow for them to be able to recover from the virus. Back to you.
All right, George Cahilas there reporting. Now, in other news, the Commission on Elections is set to decide soon whether former Senator Bongbong Marcos will be allowed to run in the 2022 presidential race. But first, Commissioner Rowena Guanzon wants the Marcos camp to prove he was indeed sick when he skipped the full body's hearing on his disqualification case. Melissa Lopez joins us now for the details. Melissa, Mel?
Yeah, COMELEC's First Division will publish its verdict soon on 3 disqualifications against former Senator Bongbong Marcos from joining the presidential race. But before that, Commissioner Rowena Guanzon is still looking for one more document. Guanzon has ordered the Marcos camp to file a notarized copy of the medical certificate that they presented during Friday's hearing that was issued by Dr. Benedict Valdecañas to explain why Bongbong was a no-show during that pre-conference last week. Guanzon learned about the seemingly conflicting details about the presidential aspirant's health condition. The commissioner was looking for Marcos last week. Repeat simply first said that he was not feeling well. She did not take that answer. She was not satisfied with that, so she wanted that certificate. Pia?
Now, walk us through the timeline. When did we last see Bongbong Marcos?
All right. So Marcos's last public appearance known to us was on Thursday afternoon. So that's the eve of the pre-conference when he attended his second radio interview for the day. So what happened then was Marcos started the morning with a first radio interview, and then his doctor visited him at home for a consultation at 10 in the morning. And then that second and so far final appearance, as we know now. And then his spokesman, Attorney Vic Rodriguez, explained that those speaking engagements worsened Bongbong's condition, and that's why they made that decision to let him rest on Friday, even though the COMELEC really wants him to join the proceedings, even if just via Zoom. And then his lawyers presented the medical certificate, which Guanzon wants notarized, from Eagle Wellness Center, where the doctor claimed that Bongbong had difficulty speaking because he supposedly had sore throat and flu-like symptoms after getting exposed to 2 COVID-positive individuals. But when Guanzon learned about all this, the radio interviews, she said she will make the doctor explain. And Akbayan Party List, one of the petitioners behind the disqualification cases, said COMELEC should sanction Bongbong for lying to them. Back to you, Pia.
Mel, now that the case hearings are over, can you explain the arguments raised by the lawyers of former Senator Marcos against those petitions blocking his presidential bid?
Well, based on the memorandum that was submitted to COMELEC yesterday, Marcos's lawyers insisted anew that he is qualified to run as president this time because he was allowed to. There were no problems he encountered when he ran for previous positions, and he won in previous positions, except when he last ran as vice president in 2016. On the non-filing of income tax returns, which is the main argument, one of the main arguments raised by the petitions, the camp said Marcos didn't really have ill will, or it was not intentional rather for him to forget to file his ITRs. And they also argue that the penalties have been lifted already because they supposedly have paid all the penalties and fines imposed on him back in 2001. But this is still being questioned by the petitioners. His request is for the COMELEC to dismiss all the cases and to let him run in May. Pia, back to you.
Melissa Lopez there reporting. Now, here's an update on other 2022 presidential aspirant. Senator Manny Pacquiao vowing to push for a minimum wage of 50,000 pesos for healthcare workers That is on top of other benefits such as the special risk allowance. Manila Mayor Isko Moreno saying the new Hospital na Maynila is expected to open its doors this year. Senator Ping Lacson says there is no time to tackle the proposal seeking to lift term limits in the 1987 Constitution. And Senator Kiko Pangilinan, the running mate of Vice President Leni Robredo, testing positive for COVID-19, Pangilinan says he has no symptoms. Now, customers of Meralco can look forward to a lower electricity bill on the first month of the year. The power distributor says the overall rate for a typical household will be at 9 pesos and 7 centavos per kilowatt hour this January, down by 7 centavos from last month. Now, that means residential customers consuming 200 kilowatt hours a month can expect a 15 peso reduction in their bill. Now, one of the world's biggest fashion magazines is getting a Philippine edition. Publisher Condé Nast announcing Vogue Philippines will be launched this September in partnership with Mega Global Licensing Incorporated. It is the 29th edition of Vogue globally and will come out as a digital-first media brand with a monthly print issue. And Pitfalls in mind, amid the recent surge in COVID-19 cases, keep wearing your masks. The advice is double mask, a medical mask under, and a cloth mask on top, and avoid social gatherings. And if you begin to experience symptoms, immediately isolate, get yourself tested, and consult with your local government for the next necessary steps. Let's all do our part to curb the spread of the virus. And that is it for now. Join me again on news.ph at 7 p.m. Still here on Facebook Live, the CNN Philippines Facebook Live page. I'm Pia Ontiveros for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.
Gringo Honasan po. Sa pagbangon ng mga Pilipino, saludo ako sa mga taong patuloy na humaharap sa hamon ng pagbabago.
Bilang sundalo, tinataya kong aking buhay para sa ating kapayapaan.
Sa panahon ng pandemya, kami ang patuloy na humaharap sa frontline 24 oras.
Kaming mga guro ang gumagabay sa edukasyon ng mga kabataan.
Sa panahon ng krisis, ikaw, ako, magtulungan tayo. Gringo Honasan po. Saludo ako sa Pilipino.
Linsky General Merchandise, San Pedro District, Pagadian City at bangsabalay sa mga pawaran kaniadto na maligya sa mga makina o piyesa sa mga nagkalain-laing sakyanan sama sa 10-wheeler, forward, elf, bungo ug daghan pang uban. Tag-iya ug tagdumala mao si Madam Arlene Solihon Fernandez ug si handsome boy Jesse Fernandez, ang pinakailado nga surplus center sa Pagadian City, Zamboanga del Sur. Linsky General Merchandise.
Libre ko San Miguel Beer, basta akin ang Tansan.
Tansan? Sa San Miguel Oktoberfest Instant GCash Panalo Promo, uulan ng up to 100 million pesos in GCash prizes. Buy any San Miguel Beer, hanapin ang code sa crown. Kung meron, panalo ka! Iscan ang QR code sa mga posters at Facebook. I-type ang code and win!
Sali na!
Available in areas where allowed. See posters for full details. Promo runs from September 1 to December 31, 2021. Per DOH FDA CFR permit number 0424 series of 2021. Drink responsibly. Tandaan, laging i-check ang ilalim ng Tansan kung may winning code. Drink responsibly.
Loren Legarda po. 18 years akong senador at nagsulong ng mga batas na nakakatulong sa mga nangangailangan. Free college education law.
Para sa aming edukasyon.
MSME law.
Batas para sa aming kabuhayan.
Climate Change Act.
Mga batas para sa kalikasan at climate change.
Mga batas na ginawa ko na napapakinabangan ngayon. Sana makatulong pa ako sa mas marami.
Loren Legarda.
This is a paid advertisement.
Gringo Honasan po. Sa pagbangon ng mga Pilipino, saludo ako sa mga taong patuloy na humaharap sa hamon ng pagbabago.
Bilang sundalo, tinataya kong aking buhay para sa ating kapayapaan.
Sa panahon ng pandemya, kami ang patuloy na humaharap sa frontline 24 oras.
Kaming mga guro ang gumagabay sa edukasyon ng mga kabataan.
Sa panahon ng krisis, ikaw, ako, magtulungan tayo. Gringo Honasan po. Saludo ako sa Pilipino.
RPN, DXKP Pagadian. Ang inyong Radyo Ronda RPN. RPN. Radio Philippines Network. Radio Philippines Network. Live to the world. Pinaagi sa FB page. Karon, mag-download na. Pinaagi sa Google Play o Apple Store, YouTube o Twitter. Alang sa mas ipakuskan ng mga balita, komentaryo, kasayuran o kalingawan. Ang mas ipakuskan ng inyong Radyo Ronda. Member, kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
Many of us are constantly looking for ways to lose weight, especially after indulging during the holidays. But losing weight isn't just a one-time deal. There are many factors to consider. And rather than shedding a few pounds, it's more important to aim for your ideal healthy weight. And that number changes depending on many variables. After all, it's not one size fits all. Today in the program, we'll talk about the steps we need to take to lose weight gradually and properly. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez and welcome to Med Talk Health Talk right here on CNN Philippines. Many Filipinos use the holidays as an excuse to let loose and indulge. But once the year rolls in and their clothes feel a little tighter, many also look for fast and easy ways to lose weight. And the cycle continues year after year. But it doesn't have to be that way. Here to help us make sure we don't end up doing the same thing with us is Dr. Rosario Montserrat Acosta, who's an occupational medicine specialist, and she is from the Center for Executive Health of the Asian Hospital and Medical Center. Also with us is Josh Manuharan, who is a physiotherapist from the Philippine Physical Therapy Association and the founder of kakayanan.org. Now, I'll start the discussion with Dr. Monet. Doctora, let's talk about the health risks because we want to start with the more common ones. Ang kadalasan dyan is high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes. Let's talk about that.
With putting on weight comes the gradual onset of its complications, and primary of which is type 2 diabetes. Magkakasama na yan, no? Magpipinsa na yan sila. Then high cholesterol comes in, and then hypertension comes in, and then cardiovascular disease comes in.
Now, I'll ask Josh, how about naman yung mga excessive weight problems when it comes to things like joint pains, tendinitis, or other mobility problems that our viewers might experience kapag excessive ang weight nila?
With regular activities, our body is already bearing with our weight. No? So if we put on more weight, then definitely our joints, our muscles are going to work harder. So the more weight we put in, the more challenging it is for our body. However, I just want to put things in perspective. Most of the time, we think about weight as the end goal of health and well-being. But actually, weight is the sum of all the decisions that we make in a day-to-day basis. We should look at it as that way. It's not just a number that defines us. It's something that tells us about decisions that we have to make.
Dr. Monet, ano bang basehan ng ideal weight ng isang tao?
There's a formula for that, no? There's BMI, and then it's based on your height and your weight. And deal first with the losing weight, no? Because it's not just a simple problem, no? It's not just a matter of calories and crunching the numbers, no? There's more to it. Kasi if a person comes to you and says, I want to lose weight.
Josh, very common ang paggamit ng BMI. What exactly is BMI? It's a very common metric used in order to assess whether someone falls into the right realm. But as Dr. Monet mentioned, is this still current? Is this still accurate? Or are there other parameters that our viewers will be able to take advantage of?
BMI stands for Body Mass Index. This kind of method was developed 200 years ago to simplify or to get a snapshot of people's level of fitness. BMI is not the only indicator of health and well-being at this day and time. No? So it's something that can give you a summary of where someone is at. But there's, like you said, there's a lot of different factors there. If I'm not mistaken, it's computed as kilograms over meters squared. So it's your weight and height proportion. But, you know, and then it sums up into a number. It ends into a number. So it's usually before, if you range from about 18 to 25 within the BMI scale, you're considered healthy. However, we should now veer away from that. And there is such a thing now as body composition. This is now what we should be referring to more than your weight and more than your BMI. Because your body composition tells you what your body is composed of. If you have too much fat, or do you have enough muscle? Do you have enough water? Are your bones dense enough? And these factors make up your total body weight.
Marami nagtatanong, I'm overweight right now. I want to lose as much pounds as I can in as quick a time as possible. Is that the right mindset?
There's no quick fix to a problem that you've developed, accumulated over a long period of time. And there are more detrimental effects of these quick fixes. It's really initially siguro when you start, you lose the pounds, but that's not fat. You know, so it's really a gradual loss.
Now, Josh, pag wala naman palang quick fix, there's no magic bullet in order to become healthy in a short amount of time. What's a good motivation for those people who are having trouble to even take that first step in being healthy?
I think the quickest answer to that is you need to find your own motivation, because that will be your guiding star. You know, it's not an easy journey. To change anything in your life is not easy at all. But that finding your North Star, you know, finding your reason why you're embarking on that challenge is very, very much important. So some goals that we can think of are either fat loss, to build muscle, to just, you know, improve on your general well-being and longevity, and to be good at your sport or any activity.
And for most people, losing weight is not easy. It can be frustrating to start, and staying with the program are huge challenges. But what's most important is that you do it safely. When we return, a step-by-step guide on helping you get on the road to weight loss and better health. You're watching MedTalk Health Talk, your partner in healthcare. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and welcome back to MedTalk Health Talk, where caring is our calling. After gaining a few extra kilos, most of us resort to crash diets or intense programs to lose the excess weight. While these do produce impressive initial results, studies show that these effects usually disappear after a year or even less. The key to successful weight loss is making changes in your diet that are realistic, coupled, of course, with an exercise regimen. Now, I think the key word here is realistic. We need to set realistic goals when aiming to shed some weight. Josh, can you tell us more about this, about having these realistic goals?
I think the most important, in setting a realistic goal, we need to tune into ourselves more than anything else, right? We need to understand what activities we like doing, why we want to be fit, what are accessible for us. Do we have access to a gym? Do we have access to a park? Do we want to run, or a pool? So we need to know what elements that we have personally to set what's realistic for us.
Now, once you've determined your goals, your realistic goals, the next step is taking a closer look at some of your eating habits. Dr. Monette, walk us through some of the healthier eating habits that our viewers and Filipinos should be able to do.
One, start getting them on regular meals, like eat 4 times a day, no? Because a lot of them, they skip meals. They have a lot of preconceived notions of how to lose weight, and it's really off the charts of how to do it. So one is to get them back to eating and try to get them to eat healthy food.
Right now, I'd like to ask Josh, aside from eating healthy, they have to exercise as well, get that good amount of physical movement in it. But when it comes to someone who hasn't exercised actually for the most part of their life, What do you suggest? Is it okay to go jogging with their friends at the same pace of someone who's been running for their whole life?
A lot of people do not know where to begin, and which is why it's great to. One of the things that we've learned over the last 2 years is that there's nothing else more important than our health and well-being, right? So if you remember earlier on, we discussed about motivation and setting realistic goals. We need to know who we are. We need to know our level. We need to accept that, okay, I'm starting. I'm just starting for now, and I wouldn't compare myself to a triathlete. We have to stick to one program for at least 4 weeks. Because it takes 4 weeks for our bodies to change, right? So we can't just, let's say, go on a yoga program for 3 days and it's like, oh, my hamstrings are still tight. No, it's not for me. Or if I wouldn't go on running and then after a week it's like, oh, I'm still not happy with what I see in the mirror. It takes 4 weeks to see changes in our body.
So a lot of the movement exercises that you mentioned sometimes require outdoor activities. So sometimes the excuse is, kailangan ko bumili ng exercise equipment, kailangan ko bumili ng bagong shoes, kailangan ko maging member sa isang gym to start my fitness journey. Can simple things, just as walking, be a good and viable start?
I would say walking is a good start. However, if you can see, the world has turned into a very static and sedentary life. The world has become very static, and we consider walking as exercise nowadays, right? But in the way our bodies are made, we don't have this much muscle and this much number of bones just to sit down and wait for things to happen. We are designed to walk. We are designed to move. So definitely we should start walking a little bit more. It's a starting point. However, if we have bigger goals like to lose more fat or to build more muscle, walking wouldn't be enough. But it's a good starting point.
We also just suggest adding some weight training to anyone's routine. Maybe not in the beginning, but later on as your body gets used to the increase in activity, because it can help you build strength as well as promote muscle growth. But what's most important is that you choose an exercise that you enjoy doing. This makes it more likely that you'll stick to it for the long term. What is your advice? How should our viewers approach this? What signs do they need to watch out for that could tell them that they need to see a doctor?
Having difficulty losing weight over a period of time, you feel symptoms like you're getting tired, you're always sad, then maybe you have a medical condition, maybe you should see a doctor, maybe you have hypothyroidism. This is one of the common findings for people, especially women at a certain age. And then if you're a woman and you've been before and then in your teenage years, you all of a sudden gained weight, then maybe it's good for you to check with an OBGYN.
Losing weight is only half the battle. The real challenge is keeping it off for good. When we return, most common pitfalls when losing weight. Your health is our mission here on MedTalk Health Talk. We'll be right back. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and this is MedTalk Health Talk, your partner in healthcare. Now, I'd like to ask Josh, what are some of the common pitfalls kaya of people when it comes to trying to lose weight?
A lot of people get frustrated when they don't lose weight or lose fat or look in a certain way at a time frame that they set for themselves, right? But it's natural. When we change something in our lifestyle, it takes time. There's an upward spiral of lifestyle changes. So it's very common for us to think, for example, okay, am I going to start my fitness journey? Or maybe not. And then you kind of start something, you see the results, and then you become happy, and then you go back again, slide back. It's normal.
When it comes to information about someone's health, about eating right, the correct exercises that won't induce the risk for injury, what type of information should our viewers watch out for? Where can they search?
The challenge nowadays with the overabundance of information is filtering which information is right and not right. So it's very challenging. One tip that I can share to see for example, which website to refer to. In the scientific community, we when we report researches, we can only cite websites that end in .edu or .org. Those are the first things that we should look into, right? Because so that's just a quick reference on what websites am I going to refer to.
What's a good way for people to enjoy the exercise or that added movement that they're doing? Is it good to follow that your heart rate has to be really high in order to lose fat effectively?
There is what we call our maximum heart rate, right? So maximum heart rate, there's a little bit of formula here. It's 220 minus your age. That's not very important. What's more important is your target heart rate. So your target heart rate is about 50 to 85% of your maximum heart rate. Now, this is what the watches are for. The smartwatches, these devices that we're using. We don't have to think or calculate. They just prompt us that, oh, you're on your zone. You're on the right zone. So why do we have to take into consideration your target heart rate? Because this indicates that our body is being challenged at a certain level. And there is a safe zone. 50 to 85% of your target heart rate or of your maximum heart rate is okay because your body can still handle it.
Is there anything you would like to add, Dr. Monette, when it comes to starting that journey safely and effectively for our viewers?
Just start eating healthy 3 times a day, vegetable, fruit, the right proteins, the right fat. Start moving because that's what your body's made for. And you'll see, your body will start looking for more.
And Josh, before we go, do you have any parting advice for our viewers when it comes to their journey towards a healthier lifestyle?
When we start on our fitness journey, we have to really tune into a goal that is important for us. That's not defined by anything else external. We don't need the most, advanced watch, the most expensive shoes, beautiful clothes and all that. Those are just extra. Start with what you have. If you have a space that your body can fit inside your house, that's fine. You don't have to have a gym membership, an expensive one. Although you might need a little bit of guidance. This is going to be a challenging journey, but you're not going to regret it if you're at a certain age and you look back at the decisions you've made and you said, I've made right choices for myself.
With that, I'd like to thank occupational medicine specialist and clinical nutritionist Dr. Rosario Acosta and physiotherapist Josh Manoharan for sharing with us your insights. Maraming salamat sa inyo. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez and thank you for watching MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. We'll see you again next time.